Hello. For our presentation, we chose to analyze the recent Fireball whiskey recall and the media buzz over the propylene glycol content. Fireball, a cinnamon-flavored whiskey, has boosted its reputation over the past few years, becoming a go-to shop for many college students and being featured in the popular Florida Georgia Line song, "Round Here." With a greater reputation came higher sales. Fireball sales leapt from $1.9 million in 2011 to $61 million in 2013, accounting only for the sales from gas stations, convenience stores, and supermarkets, and jumped from 0.8% of bar liquor sales to 2.3% in just 1 year, putting Fireball ahead of Jameson, Patron, and almost Jaeger. With a greater reputation also comes market power, the ability to price higher than the marginal cost, which made the product financially successful.
In October of 2014, batches of Fireball were recalled in Finland, Sweden, and Norway. There are two different recipes for Fireball. The original, that meets FDA regulations, which is shipped to the US and Canada, and an altered recipe that meets European regulations. The recall occurred when a batch of the US version of Fireball was sent to Europe, where a lesser amount of the ingredient, propylene glycol, is allowed compared to FDA regulation. The U.S. allows for 50 grams of propylene glycol per kilogram in food and beverages, while Europe allows for only 1 gram per kilogram. The discrepancy resulted in the product being pulled from shelves and media buzz regarding safety of the product. Propylene glycol is a synthetic liquid that absorbs water. It is an additive in food and used as a solvent for coloring and flavoring. The FDA classifies it as an additive that is generally recognized as safe and limits its amount in alcohol to 5% or less. Fireball contains less than 1% of this chemical, which is much less than the maximum allowed amount. Fireball is currently not the only product consumed that contains this chemical. It can be found in flavored teas, ice cream, frosting, and food coloring, just to name a few other sources. Because propylene glycol is in so many other products, we believe the real problem in this case is the media's reaction.
The media has misrepresented the facts of the recall to make it sound like Fireball contains antifreeze, much the same as one would put into their car. The fact is that it contains a chemical, propylene glycol, that is also found in antifreeze, but in a different safety grade. While it is too early to tell, it seems as though U.S. sales have not been significantly affected by the recall. It is likely that people who buy Fireball simply don't care about the recall. One consumer even said, "I like that it got recalled. Now when I drink Fireball, I feel like I'm living on the edge." Although there is no physical harm, according to the FDA, by consuming Fireball, consumers may have some psychological harm from the fear of consuming what they believe could be a harmful chemical. They may also feel deceived and betrayed by the producer of Fireball for not disclosing that they make two different recipes. It also made consumers question why the standards for propylene glycol are different in the United States compared to Europe, and if our standards here are strict enough. Lastly, financial harm occurred for the consumers that may have rather purchased an alcohol without controversy.
Some possible policy recommendations to consider for this case include the following. First, the FDA could allow the producers of Fireball to continue operating how they currently do. Second, the FDA could retest the safety of propylene glycol, which would be costly and take a long time, leaving the product off the shelf for an extended period, which would be detrimental to both the company that produces Fireball as well as loyal consumers. Yet another option would be to create a formula for Fireball whiskey that meets the PG standards for all countries. According to Fireball Whiskey's website, Canada has no numerical limit on the amount of propylene glycol allowed in products. So why should these countries be forced to settle for the European recipe? This brings us to our final recommendation, which is to enact a stricter policy for labeling the ingredients in Fireball whiskey and all alcoholic beverages. As discussed in class, there is cost to information acquisition. The company should be motivated to disclose more information to consumers until the point at which the marginal cost of acquiring and displaying the information is equal to the marginal benefit achieved by earning the trust and loyalty of consumers. One way of doing this could be by increasing the amount of product labels required on alcoholic beverages. When consumers are fully informed on what is in the product, they can make a better decision if they want to buy or drink it, and information asymmetry is eliminated. This concludes our case analysis of the Fireball whiskey recall. If you have any questions regarding this case, feel free to reach out to any of our group members.